Yes, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to Uganda Crossroads. My name is David Lubuurwa. It's always a pleasure coming here every Saturday and we share, you and us, discussing different issues that happen every week in Uganda. All that you send us through your comments, direct messages, emails, we always receive them and we thank you so much for always being part of Uganda at Crossroads. Now, most importantly, first of all, I would like to congratulate Uganda for winning the first match against DRC Congo. The guys have done a great job on putting our flag high. We now lead the group in which we belong. So that is a great success. But as always, politically in Uganda, things keep on changing. And something that we appreciate, because wherever there is politics, there is chaos, there is peace, there is love, and there is hate. So that is something we cannot control, or even say that it will never happen, because politics is always about that. Period. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight I'm joined by Sarah Joy Bakanasa, Richard Myombia, again to discuss the key main stories that have made the headlines back in Uganda. Again, just as a reminder, it's Uganda at Crossroads. We only focus on Uganda, regardless of what is happening elsewhere in Africa. Our main focus is always on Uganda. Guys, I want to thank you so much. First, I don't know whether you guys have watched the match between Uganda and DRC. I've been able to watch the match. 90 minutes. The guys have done a great job. So let me start with that. How was your day? How was your week? And let me start with Richard before I come to Sarah.
My week was very great, but unfortunately I was so busy I did not watch the match. Yo,
man, Uganda is missing that. So, Sarah, how was your week?
My week was fine. I'm not a fan of football, maybe that's why. Whatever you're talking is like new to me. I'm like, what happened? I thought Tanzania was going to play because
Well, personally, I didn't follow so much. I normally focus on Uganda at times. With the sports, I always go to see or watch matches Uganda versus other countries. So it's being fair for me to tell the world that Uganda did good. It won the first match against DRC Congo.
So with so many things happening in Uganda, really, them doing good really is a good sign.
Right, because they went with the blessings from the president of Uganda, and of course
Bobi Wine. I saw he was
okay.
At the same time, Bobi Wine was wishing them the best.
So People Power President did a great job to bless them, just as the President of the Republic of Uganda did. So, and many other leaders politically. But let me start with this. Last week, I'm going to go straight away with the report or the video from BBC that was done by NBS's Solomon Saranyani team about the stolen medicine from one national medical store and other facilities. So let's start with that. You guys, what came into your mind when you watched the video? Because, it was long enough, short enough, and clear and on the point. What we saw, of course, we already know that they've been stealing medication, but this was full evidence. The sad part of the story is that one of the people who were shown in the video committed suicide. So let me start with that. Sarah, I want to start with you with the report from, the medical stores, medicine storing, people are dying every day. What came into your mind?
I saw, if you're talking about the video that aired on BBC.
Yeah, the investigation that was done.
Yeah, but you see, it's so absurd that the video had even to go to BBC and it's not given a chance to air on our Ugandan televisions. Because I remember before when the journalist, one from NBS and other journalists from BBC were trying to put together that story, they ended up being arrested. And one of them, his house was conned off, his wife was arrested as well. So, and you wonder who is stopping who? And if these investigations are for a greater good, that they are going to help, curb down or stop, whatever the theft that is going on in the Ministry of Health and the general health sector. These people would have been protected, but the way they were handled, even before. I guess they did, if you notice, I was watching it a little bit, but you may notice they were doing everything out of fear. They were fearing for their own lives. And that's one thing to tell you when you're handling business in a mafia state, you're not safe. Anything could happen to you at any time. But it's so absurd the way I saw medicine is being handled. And basically, these are government drugs that are put to either health centers or village hospitals or medical centers, and they don't even get a chance to get there. If they get there, what they do is go in and go out. But but these are not. I think we've gotten to a level where this is no longer shocking when it comes to Uganda. Basically, there is nothing that comes out of Uganda that shocks me anymore. When I saw that, it was really absurd that these people are doing this. And one, for me, I was like, why doesn't this air on every TV station in Uganda? Why?
Yeah, because they played it on NBS and Latest, which is...
Yes, it should be. And again, you know, these guys who did this investigation must be having a lot of information. They must be... The president, if he really cares about Uganda and taking it to another level, and just because every time... Our issue with President Museveni is he has failed to stop corruption, to stop theft, to stop all these things. Him as an individual wouldn't have an issue if all these things were going right.
All right.
He should be even meeting these people to find out the greater, what did they find out, what is not in this report, what more do they have, what more can he add on so that, you know, all this, the theft in the health sector is calmed down.
All right, sure. Let me ask Richard. One of the guys from the medical store who happens to be their boss said they're not given the mandate to follow up on these drugs where they're going. What they have is they are free to give out whatever they asked for, and then that's it. That's where it ends. Do you think there is a loophole between the Parliament of Uganda, which is the lawmaking body, or it's just between the mafias, as already said?
No, it's not the mafias. It's a problem of the country that has brought us this far. It's the political system, it's the centralization of power and control of everything in the country. Look, if the drugs were going to a village clinic somewhere in Lubuurwa, it has to come from a medical store from Entebbe. In between, it's going through stages. And in between, because people are not well paid, the doctors are not well paid, and the hands that are handling them are so many. In between, each person has to make his own contribution in how to make some money out of it, because this is a loophole for corruption. What would you think if they gave you, if you are not even paid $200 a month, or you are paid $300 a month, and drugs worth of $1 million comes your way in your own hands, and you're supposed to distribute it to the last clinic, and the last clinic, the doctor or the nurse that is going to give this one has taken 6 months without being paid, because it's a system that controls, it's a pyramid. If it was another political system, a federal system of government, for example, I'm going to give Tororo, or for example, I'm going to give Toro, the medicine would have come direct to the government there, and each person would have known how much and how to control that goes direct to the people. It's the problem. Until we solve that, we shall never get rid of this.
But yeah, let me, I don't know whether Sarah want to interject in this, but let's put it this way. The army is involved in this scandal. Yeah. The people are involved in this scandal. So who is the problem? It's not this time. I'm not gonna. We know. I don't believe you guys.
You cannot. This ceases to be one, two people the problem. The entire system,
inclusive of the public, not just the government.
See, you cannot. That's something I usually say. For example, I'll put it back to when it comes to the case of people power. I've seen so many people saying, "Oh, people who in people power are abusive. People in people power are bitter." That's the system. The whole country is people. The system has made people to become bitter. The system has become people to become violent. The system has made people to become so angry and abusive. Because if the entire system is rotten. Drugs are being, because if the army is involved, they are protecting someone bigger. Who is that person? are you going to blame the individuals down here who are stealing when they are the top people are involved? Because this is the entire, I think you should go back to the Minister of Health, from the, who had the Minister of Health, and from the top back to the bottom. Where is the loopholes? Where is it coming from? So many people are involved. Because where would the army be in there? Who are they protecting? Are they in there because it's also business they're interested in? And again, when we look at the army, you know, the institution of the police and the army is one of the institutions that should be respected all over the world. But the one in Uganda is, they are also mafias. They work for themselves. Basically, every person in Uganda right now, in the system or in government, every man for himself. Whatever I can get and take home, the sooner, the better.
Let me give you an example here. I had a doctor, a friend of mine in Busoga. He was arrested with drugs, government drugs, because they tracked them down. In his clinic was $80 million. And he had got them from one of the loopholes to his clinic. Because the problem is this, the people don't trust the government clinics or the government hospitals. These people go to private clinics where they can access it cheaper. So this guy is arrested, drugs worth $80 million, and again the police asks for bribes. And he's out. Even I spoke to him this week. He's out. So the drugs were arrested because in that clinic, he lowers the price because it's true medicine. These other people, if they went to the real stores, for example, in Rwanda and the big pharmacies, to purchase the medicine from there, the local people into the village, because of the system that you are saying, is cannot even afford to pay, and this man makes a profit.
But why wouldn't someone sell them at low price when you got them for free? These are stolen drugs. If they're buying them from someone, or if it could be whoever is getting the drugs is putting them there for sale, and then they share the profits later.
But these guys pay a good chunk of money. If you look at, based on the video, probably $2,000 and all that money.
Yeah, but compared, $2,000, is it in comparison? If you compare it to the price of the drugs, does it make sense? If they're paying $2,000, then they must be paying much lower than what the drug cost and how much it would be the selling price on the market. But at the same time, you've even seen it, for example, if you go to any of the big hospitals in Mulago, the doctors will tell you, the doctor will openly tell you, oh, we don't have the drugs here, but there's a clinic in Wandegea, and that's the doctor's clinic. So they're sending patients to go and buy medicine from their clinic. So
who's to blame? Police? Government?
The entire system. You're going to blame them, because that video came out. I've seen Ofono Pondo address literally.
That's where I was going.
Yes, I've seen Ofono Pondo address things that are useless or things that are not really important, or things that he's not even able to, either they're fighting with police and he's not able to expound on some of the things. Ofono Pondo would have come out as the government spokesperson to address this particular issue. And they put up an investigation. They start with the guys who are into this investigation, get them, find out more information, protect them. But they're not interested because they're all doing the same thing. The entire system is rotten. In fact, if you want to change Uganda, if you want to see a better Uganda, you have to uproot the entire system. It's all gone.
All right. So final question on that. The government knows every problem that is going on in regards to that medication. Now, you guys belong to people power, or you believe in political change that is coming up soon. Now, I want to ask you this. What is special? What are you going to do that is new that this government hasn't done to stop corruption?
Do the simplest thing. You know, one of the things you're going to do to curb corruption is the biggest challenge Museveni has had. He has never implicated anyone. Or people who are responsible, you'll see them go to prison 1, 2, 3 months, they come out and then they're recycled. For example, look at he was a minister of health by then with Mukula. They were implicated in Gavi funds. It was Muhwezi, something like that. He was implicated in Gavi funds. Right now he's back into government serving. But he just recycles. There are so many people Museveni has recycled. From one office, they give them a break of 1, 2 months. And even when they put them in prison, look at Kaihura. Chitata is paying for all the sins of Kaihura. Is Kaihura in prison? No. The last time I heard he was in Germany. In fact, Kaihura was promoted and given a new car. He was given a new car. He has a new convoy. But do you know the sins or atrocities Kaihura committed in Uganda police? Do you know how much of evil that Uganda police did under the leadership of Kaihura? So many things. The president himself has failed. And he's not going to do it. He has not done it for 33 years. He's not going to do it now. I'll borrow the example of Rwanda. Rwanda right now, if you look at Rwanda, they have much levels of corruption. In fact, they'll get to a level maybe where they'll curb it completely. Because what happens when Kagame finds out you're corrupt or you've stolen? In prison. There is no shortcut. You're gone. I guess even they get some of your properties. In Uganda, we've failed to implement. We've talked. So many committees have come up, so many, this committee of corruption, this agency fighting corruption, this and this fighting corruption. Just look at what happened with the 90 billion saga. The anti-corruption, comes in, that is led by Nakalema, comes in and gets hold of these guys. You had the
minister coming out and...
The police spokesperson, the government spokesperson of Fonopondo comes up and gives a statement. And then the police comes out, their spokesperson in anger says we are investigating. Opondo says, we do not know they are investigating. Who are you investigating? Who told you to investigate? So it's all a confused system. People do not know even what is the role of what. Because if something like that happens, the role, either the criminal investigations department would come in, or the anti-corruption department would come in working with the CID to find out who are responsible, what is what. But you find the government spokesperson is completely treating different things from what the police spokesperson is saying. So the entire system is rotten. And at this point in time, Museveni cannot, this is cancer, it is beyond stage 4 cancer, the person is dying. It is this person, the doctors said, you have 1 month to go. All
right, so Richard, do you agree with what Sarah is saying?
Yes, but I wanted to add on something there, which is the key point of stabilizing the country. Small self-government, which is federalism. That's it. If, for example, the government of Fort Portal, I'm concentrating on Fort Portal, if the government of Fort Portal was importing its own drugs in its federal system, for accountability. Remember, we are fighting for a capitalist economy. There would be good hospitals that are for the government, for the poor people, and government where the rich can go to access the treatment that like we have in the USA.
But this is a role of parliamentarians to come and discuss. Here's what happened last week. Parliament sat and they discussed this issue of the medication and all that. Very few parliamentarians were there, inclusive of opposition. Is that a blame to the...
Yeah, because of the constitution that the parliamentary system of Uganda is working in. Uganda is working in a decentralized political system in Uganda. So if it was a federal political system, the government of Fort Portal, the government of Uganda, the government of Kasese would be importing its own drugs. Then from there, it would be looked upon with a keen eye, distribution to the health center. The fallout, the people would be well paid, and the eye that is monitoring everything will be on those drugs. But in this system that we are fighting to uproot out of power, it is coming from Entebbe. The government stores, stages, the Ministry of Health is involved. Everyone is involved, is trying to make money. These rich people is trying, by the time it reaches down, if it were 100 boxes of medication, by the time they reach in a small clinic in the village in Nakasongola, it's 1 box. The rest have disappeared in between because someone has to make money out of it.
That confirms the argument that everyone in Uganda is corrupt.
Yes.
But it is something that started small and it has eaten up from those in government to individuals because I'll give you an example. Drive in Kampala. If you drive around in Kampala and you don't have some loose change in your pocket, you're in trouble. Every police officer who stops you wants money. Just walk into an office or you're inquiring about something. For you to be able to see the next person, you must be able to give money. This entire system, the entire country needs an overhaul. It needs cleaning up. It needs someone who's going to hold the country maybe for the first 10 years with an iron hand so that we clean up. We clean up because the disease or the infection has eaten up from government, and then it has gotten into individuals. You and me, if you're in, because yeah, I've never seen anyone, if you want to get into trouble in America, just let a police officer stop you and then you get money out of your wallet to give him. You're in trouble. You are in trouble. But you see, it happens, the entire system, because, and people are comfortable with it. People are comfortable being, even the individuals in Uganda are comfortable, giving chinto chidogo, because that's how, it's the norm of the day. That's what people know. That for you to be able to see whoever you want to see, you need to give money. For you to be able to get to the next office, you need to give money. For you to be able to pass an exam, you need to give money. For you to be able to to be hired into a job of which you're qualified to do, you need to give money. So you need an overhaul. You need someone who is going to change, who is going to put stringent measures on every little thing so that you turn around the whole country.
All right, sure, that sounds good. You who is watching us from wherever you're watching, you have ideas and you think about what's going on and where and when. And we believe that your information is very vital if you share it everywhere on your social media pages. Probably if you make a call to somebody. We belong to one of the biggest media houses in USA for the diaspora community. So you send us your information. We can always look into it and share it with many people as possible. So let me start with this. Away from the medication saga, we go back to Bank of Uganda. Millions and millions of money were printed, and allegations are this was fact that Bank of Uganda approved it, because there is nobody from these major money printing companies, especially in Europe, that can just print money out of the blue. This was stolen money from Bank of Uganda by the so-called mafias, and it went up the way it ended up. Do you really believe that this was just a direct request from certain individuals to make these guys print the money, or it is just a scam within Bank of Uganda?
I think this is not some, I think the biggest question you should ask, is this happening for the first time? That should be the biggest question, because I strongly believe this is not the first time this is happening. This has been happening for a very long period of time, and it's so maybe Kama was not on their side that they were caught up. But again, who owns, coming from the previous saga of Bank of Uganda, it clearly showed you that the president runs Bank of Uganda. Coming from the previous saga, if you saw what happened with Bank of Uganda, how documents were taken out of Bank of Uganda, and how the lady who was in charge of all this scandal, is she in prison? No, she's free. And you see how the report was handled in Parliament. They were just playing around with it. Someone on a higher level, and someone who is untouchable. I strongly believe President Museveni has an upper hand on the last say when it comes to Bank of Uganda. So this could have been money printed, knowing, yes, it is coming in. And I don't think this is a deal that was executed by only officials in Bank of Uganda. It has bigger intentions. And I'm telling you, nothing is going to come out of this investigation. The way you're seeing now, police is fighting the government.
Where is the role of Munyagwa, Mubarak Munyagwa, here?
What have you had? Literally, Munyagwa, I think Munyagwa, I didn't even know Munyagwa is still in Parliament. For some reason, Munyagwa has been quiet for the last maybe 2-3 years. So the role of Munyagwa ceases, it doesn't even make sense, because Munyagwa, by the time he was handed over that committee, the business of that committee was already shut and the report was given to the Speaker of Parliament. So, and you had the recommendation that came out of that report. Nothing. They're not going to pay back the money. Nothing came out of it. It was a waste of taxpayers' money, people sitting there taking allowances, drinking coffee, drinking tea, and taking per diem. But nothing came out of that report. Really nothing tangible. Because we would have seen Bagaya and the rest in prison. Cameras were clearly showing what was going on. Bagaya took out the documents they were looking for out of the bank. Wherever she took them, no one knew where she took the documents. So this saga of money, and I'm telling you, when you see the central bank, because the Bank of Uganda controls the entire economy of Uganda. Basically, the entire economy of Uganda is in the hands of Bank of Uganda. So you're going to see enormous inflation in the country if such things are happening. If money is being printed in such enormous numbers, you're going to see inflation. We saw it, we were reading about it, we used to hear about it in Zambia where one loaf of bread used to cost 1 million. It is going to happen in Uganda if this is not stopped. I don't know if they are printing money, extra money for campaigns 2021. It could be that. It could be now, because this is going to be the most expensive campaign for President Museveni. You have 75% of the young people who are, their eyes are wide open, they're no longer sleeping, they want change, they've been depressed, they have no jobs, they have no food, they have responsibilities, but they are so useless in their country. It's going to be the most expensive campaign. Because if Museveni used 17 billion in 2 weeks in eastern Uganda, 2 weeks, how much money is he going to spend all over the country if he could just use 17 billion in 2 weeks in eastern Uganda? So I think this, the people, top people in government you know, they are part of this. This is not the first time this has been happening. Money has been coming in like that before. But this causes bad inflation in the country because if money, you have so much money in circulation, a few individuals are benefiting from it and it's Ugandans who are going to suffer at the end of the day.
All right. Okay, so first of all, I want to add on. I agree with what you say, but let me tell you, why is the Uganda Revenue Authority, the Uganda Revenue Authority, collecting taxes in dollars? That's a question mark. This is for people who are coming to power. The second thing, if you remember, I've been long enough on my age to see how to Musime Mutebile that the Bank of Uganda governor was appointed. He appointed himself. Museveni appointed him as a friend to take care of his interests. So that man is protecting Museveni's interests. Every money that is coming out of the country through corruption that he has to divert goes the other way Museveni wants. That's why he has kept him into that office. There is a question mark. The third thing that I've been always asking myself until this came out, how did Sudhir, remember what he just told Tamil Mirundi, that I'm giving you a blank check because you lost someone, because you have been protected. Because I know Sudhir, how he came into Kampala. He had the Forex Bureau with Alimayo. How did he become the fifth richest person in East Africa? Because that's how the money has been coming off. These people have been corrupt. You are corrupt, and we are corrupt also. We are making money, you are making money. We are going to be printing our own money. We are going to get them through this foreign exchange, and they will get us the dollars, and they make a share, and we get our portion. Clean money. So this is a loophole that the people that are coming to government are going to look into. It's clear. It has been happening, not today. It has been happening for a long time.
But let me ask you a question. This is a yes or no thing. You guys hate receiving questions like that, yes or no. But do you really believe that a company from Germany can print extra money that is not ordered for by the Bank of Uganda?
Definitely not. That money was ordered for. And again, leave alone the company that printed the money. How did the money, the extra pallets, get into the chartered plane? Because I had excuses that maybe the captain or the crew thought it was spare parts and all that. How did they get? Because you know what you've printed. How did the pallets get into the plane? Those are the questions you're going to ask yourself. And was the money chartered from Germany or France? So there is no way they can, because this company, the company that is printing money is being paid to print money, right? So if it's being paid, there is no way they can print money by mistake, which you're not going to pay for, because they're being paid to print money. So there is no way they can print extra 90 million by mistake. If they've been doing this for a very long time. So this money was commissioned for, it was signed for, but I believe by the time it got to Kampala, I think someone, you know how these mafias behave. Someone must have tipped off another person, because maybe midway, he was not going to get a share of this money. Maybe people were sharing this money and they were keeping them out of the deal. That's why they blew the whole cover. So there's no way that this money was printed when nobody was aware.
Okay, what I know about the economic system, the way money is printed, there has to be an equivalent of gold bars into the deposit of the bank. And the governor of the Bank of Uganda gets authorization from the president to print the money. That's the West system. And manipulation of the currencies. Because if you want to avoid such a saga, I'll give you an example of Estonia. I was looking at Estonia when it was starting to print its own money when it was coming out of communism. They had to go to only 2 countries. One was the United States of America, and the other one was Britain. These are the current centers that are not easy to manipulate the currencies. The rest of the currencies can be in other worlds, since even World War II has been manipulated. So, if you the people power that are coming to government, because they have to change the entire system, the only centers that they're going to print new currencies, and it is going to be America and Britain. Full stop.
Let me ask you a question. If you guys were advisors to the people power movement and probably, let's assume that they're in power, what would you do?
Just like I've said and I've said before, a cleanup needs to be done. You need to have an overhaul on all institutions of government. All institutions of government need to have an overhaul, because what you have right now, you have systems, whether it's medical, whether it's agriculture, whether it's... you look at NADS when it was handed over to the UPDF. What is coming out of NADS? Nothing. You see, I've seen stories in the newspapers, on TV, where the seeds that they're giving people to plant cannot even come out of the soil. So the entire system is rotten. Every institution of government... Get back to the judiciary. I saw yesterday Zake being acquitted, and I'm just happy the magistrate didn't want to waste any more of his time over a case that did not even make sense. So the entire system needs to be... Look at the 33, the Bobby Wine, and the rest that are on a treason case. You know, yesterday I was reading the NBS, and there's a story, there's this old man. Now there's a story, this old man is responsible for stoning the president's car. So I'm like, what happened to the 33? Because I thought they were in prison, they were in court for stoning the car. Where did this man come from? So there's a lot of, just like Eddie Kenzo said, there's volongoto. The system, the entire system is volongoto. As much as, sometimes you look at where do you start from? You cannot even say I'm going to start it from one end and finish up with the other. You just have to put everything on an overhaul and restart again.
Okay.
So let's finish up with your funny statement.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to tell you, I was reading about the economic system of Idi Amin, how it came to fail. In one of the paragraphs that I was reading this chapter, the writer said that Idi Amin had a British contractor who came to him and told him, look, I want you to print for me money. So Idi Amin never had the money that he was supposed to pay in pounds to this company. And this money wanted to be, the man who was going to print the money wanted to be paid. And Idi Amin told him that all you can do, print an extra 1 million Ugandan shilling so that you bring it to Uganda and you get out the currencies that you pay yourself. That's what happened in Idi Amin. That if someone went to work, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, if he was being paid 100,000 Ugandan shillings, by the end of the year, the currency that are in saturation is no longer value to the amount of money that is going to keep in investment or to go around moving. That's how the inflation in the country started way long ago, because it was into the hands of an individual without someone looking at him. If you look at the economic system of America, for example, the money printed has to be approved by Congress. Congress. Someone cannot just wake up in the morning and say, I want you to print for me $100 million without the authorization of Congress. That's how you can balance, check and balance. If I were to advise the people power about that issue, first of all, we have to go back to where M7 started, sizing off the zeros, total new currency that is not easy to manipulate. Second of all, allow other currencies to function into the country. Dollars, acceptable, pounds, acceptable, and euros, acceptable into the country as monetary system. That way you stabilize the what? The currency, and close all other loopholes. That's what the people of power, I would advise them to do if I was the advisor.
All right, thank you so much again to the people who are watching us online. We want to thank you so much for whatever you're doing. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep sending us your comments. We always receive them. Sometimes we don't read your names, but we receive them and use them through our discussions probably this day or the day next. But thank you so much, and keep sharing all the programs. Now, guys, Uganda is always full of drama. And one of the drama that happened last week was about Mama Fina. You know, it's very funny that I had to bring it here on a political talk show. But what's interesting about it is partly her personal life is okay, but we look into the political situation, and now that we know where she was, she went to meet one of the greatest bloggers on Facebook and social media basically, and stories came out different. I want to start with Sarah. When you learned about the news, what happened? You see,
it was Mama Fina's personal life has been. You cannot talk of politics and NRM and you don't talk of Mama Fina. Mama Fina has been one of the key top members of NRM who does fundraising, who does mobilization using her own money. So when anywhere you see Museveni and Mama Fina, when you see Mama Fina traveling and and everything, say, oh, I had rumors that she had gone to the diaspora because she's going to the diaspora to talk to different people because, the diaspora has a big chunk of very vocal and vibrant people power members. So if they say she had gone to buy them off, whatever they're saying, it could be true because Mama Fina is one of the top mobilizers of NRM using her own money. And on top of that, we won't take away from her, she's a very charitable person. She's been giving, I know she's helped so many people. In camera, off camera, she's a very giving person. Using her own money, she's been able to do that. The challenge Mama Fina faced was, this is her first time in Europe. Mama Fina has been traveling to other countries, China, Dubai. This is her first time in Europe. And she really got excited. And one, for what happened, because I'm not going to take away the fact that despite the fact that she's one of the top NRM mobilizers, she has a personal life. People once in a while loosen up. Maybe she was excited to travel to Europe for the first time. She has the money. You can imagine, there are so many people who have money, but they've been denied visas to go abroad. You know that? Right. Yes, and she's gotten this Schengen visa that is taking her to 25 countries and more. So she could have gotten excited, happy she had received a visa, or maybe in that particular moment she remembered where she's coming from. Mama Fina, who was a house girl, now, she could have been, and I didn't know Mama Fina drinks, but she looked intoxicated. The problem, I'm going to blame Mama Fina's handlers. On that occasion, there was Eddie Mezaya. Eddie Mezaya, one of the things people do not know, people play with social media. I have seen social media is not a place, you have to be extremely careful, especially when you're in positions of either being mobilizers, activism, and other areas in life. You have to be very careful. Some of us have learned with time how to control what we give social media, because in the beginning we're all excited and you want to put everything there, but at the end you get burnt. So Mama Fina, the handlers of Mama Fina are really responsible. Mama Fina was intoxicated. In that moment, they wouldn't have allowed a live video to keep streaming. They allowed the live video to keep streaming because whatever she was doing were not done. Those are things that were not done by a sober person. I don't drink. I'm a light social drinker. I don't drink to levels of being intoxicated. But I remember one time also I ended up in a position where someone was on camera when I was doing crazy stuff, and it ended up out there. And it didn't make me look good at all. It made me look bad, but that was not the intention. So the handlers of Mama Fina who are working with her, I've seen them trying to do a lot of damage control, but they would have stopped whatever was going on at that moment. Because I'm told even Mama Fina's husband was around in that room. The husband was there. And if you see the background, there were so many people in the house. But at that moment, she was so intoxicated. And I've seen so many people judge her. People are beating her up. Let's forget, she was having fun. And I've seen people attacking her. Oh, she's a woman. How could you do that? If it was a man who had done that, people would have been clapping and say, oh, msaja wa amani. But let's not make it really big. And it was a bad judgment. She was already high. The handlers are responsible because they would have stopped. And again, for a person like Peng Peng, Peng Peng is a very controversial blogger. He's one person who is very difficult to deal with because he has one leg here, he has one leg there. And a person like Peng Peng always, like when social media, these guys, people are looking for what is the next big thing because what Mama Fina tried to do a number of damage control. She went on, I saw on Bukede, on Spark TV, she tried to do damage control. Then I was following up the posts by Peng Peng. The posts by Peng Peng were not giving her, they were not favoring her.
So the point why
and I saw the live video.
Let me ask you this question. The point why people got so confused was because they think Mama Fina went to meet these bloggers to pay them off, not to support people power. That's where the issue comes in, right?
Yes, partly the issue comes from there. And partly the issue comes from people judging her because she's a lady, being a woman. How could you do that? How could you be in such a position? How could you allow that to happen? So people are judging her from all angles. I've seen so many judgments being thrown to her. And then I watched the next day, Peng Peng was live, and Peng Peng was basically making assertion that Mama Fina failed. She had come to pay him, but she doesn't know who they are dealing with. They wanted to poison him. He made all these controversial statements. He had his own booze. Wherever he would open booze, he said they had a lot of booze, but he refused to take it because they would. And I'm telling you, the place where we are operating in the political space, you can be poisoned. We've just seen Ambazira. He has just come back from Nairobi after being poisoned. So basically, even Peng Peng himself has to be careful because he's one of the most controversial bloggers. He's one who has really gone hard on the government. At one point in time, he was talking to the government. He used to receive money from Brian White. And the toughest thing is to have it. He once ate money from the ruling government, and now you're on the opposition, and you're throwing stones at the same tree where you used to climb and pick mangoes. So it doesn't. This was. And whatever Peng Peng said did not favor Mama Fina. The day after, it did not favor her.
All right,
so if the intention if the intention of her going to Sweden was to give money to these bloggers, it was an epic fail. She would have handled herself in a better way because for that clip, because it went so viral, it was an epic fail because I would say instead of playing them, they played her. They played her and basically they've made her look like a misfit. Because if President Museveni, those are the mobilizers he has that is going to send out to start luring people into into NRM, he's sending the wrong people. Look at what they do. When they get out there, they get so excited. And, because anything would have happened. What if these guys had... anything could happen. Mama Fina could, if she did not... That's why I'm saying the handlers did a wrong job because Mama Fina could have been intoxicated. Anything would have happened to her. Mama Fina could have been raped in a situation how she was so intoxicated. So, as maybe President Museveni keeps sending out to these people to handle his business of lowering people into NRM and give people power, he should be, again, very careful because that was an epic fail. And if everything had happened off social media, no one would have known what happened. So that's why in all instances, you have to be careful with who has a phone, what are they doing, what are they recording. You have to be extremely careful.
Yeah, I want to keep on that. Richard, I guess you had some information on the same story.
Yeah.
To you, did it happen to be like President Museveni through his NRM were trying to finance Mama Fina to go and
that's automatically.
It's a different case.
No,
this for long. These are friends.
Yeah, no, this is automatically because the communists or the Museveni, what they fear is the media. What people get out because this is one of Uganda's best bloggers. He does things for the people to follow him. Information that is, everyone is on media now. Even right now, we are live around the world. People are looking at us. Everything that we say is important. So this, they wanted to stop or to buy him off. The second thing I want to tell you, Mama Fina is a true committed member of the NRM system.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter.
She's one of their mobilizers.
Yeah, look.
one can say that the opposition is scared of the tricks NRM is doing.
Yeah, but
and you guys are sure that NRM is going to be successful.
That's what I'm telling you. It was an epic fail if that was the intention, because the person she was with again belittled her. Peng Peng reduced Mama Fina to nothing, to a drunkard, to a loose woman, to so many, whatever you want to name her, she reduced her to that. And this was maybe an eye-opener to other people who are going to be approached, because I think people are so smart of late that you are not going to just approach them with money or anything and you think they're going to give away themselves to whatever you want. So it was an epic fail. It was an epic fail.
All right.
It was.
So,
one more thing. Look, women in this type of business, if we look at the history of Europe, because I read European history, and the history of Israel, there was a woman called Shula Kola. The name is like that. Yep. One of the best spies for Israel. One of the best spies. But she could bring people in her saloons and her casinos. The military generals, the statements, everyone would come to her not knowing that was an Israeli spy. Then he would talk to them, pay them off, they would give him information. So all this, the way a woman is a very important thing in this game. As a player, could get all the information from Peng Peng or to anyone else. So it's a trick the NRM is using. It's not only NRM that is using it. It has been used. German had such a spies. The Soviet Union had such a spies. I don't know about America that it has such a spies. So the spies have been in this game.
You're saying Mama Fina is a spy?
Yeah, he's a spy for the NRM. Automatically. To see that he wins such a people that blog. Look at Eddie Mizaya. Has ever been controversial on the NRM? How comes? Doesn't he see all the bad things? Why did he come all the way he is? What does it? Because it's the same group. Who pays him?
All right. let's get off that. Now it's just a side talk, which is very important in our political arena of Uganda and all that. But again, to the people who are watching this, all these stories come in and we always receive them, we analyze them before we actually come here to air them. That's why we had to, some people are complaining why we're talking about Mama Fina's saga. That is very important politically because she is a great supporter of NRM and she has enough money to buy off anybody. At the same time, she has enough support from different people. But that's not my business. That's a business for all Ugandans to think about. Now, guys, I want to come back to you. The breaking news that happened today, Kazuemba Shilumbazira was poisoned. Mm-hmm. He went to different hospitals. Cases were opened up. He was taken to Nairobi for further assistance. He came back to Uganda. People organized what I think is called the Dua prayers for him, just for the second chance for him to leave. And police arrested him, plus some other members who support his way. Now, let me ask you guys, if something like that happens, what comes into your minds with the political situation in Uganda?
People have to be extremely, extremely careful. This goes to everyone who wants to take Museveni out of power. Leave alone Bashir. Look at Chanjo. Look at the situation of Chanjo. And I would pray to all the handlers. Bobby Wine himself has to be extremely careful. He has to look into his handlers. And he has to pray a lot and see who is around him, who might do harm to him. But all these, everyone, if you're an activist and in Uganda, you have to be extremely careful. Be careful what you eat. Be careful. If you leave a drink, don't come back and drink it. If you've been eating, be careful. Where is the food coming from? Are you being served food with the same people that are being served food? Look at Mayombo. Mayombo, we know the story of Mayombo. Look at Nyakairima. All those people have been poisoned. So be careful if you're opposing government. Because if you're not put in prison, you'll be shot dead, you'll be poisoned. You have to be extremely, extremely careful. If you're gonna, even people in the diaspora, you have to be careful. Even in the US here, They are NRM spies. There are people who are on the payroll of NRM. I do not, when I'm out, I know the things we talk here, people, you know, when I'm out, when we were when we did the Free Bobby Wine at the Waltham Square,
right.
There were so many NRM spies. There are so many NRM spies who are on the payroll of Museveni in the diaspora. So if you're in the diaspora and you take out your time and you know, you go against, you talk about the ruling government and you're against it, anyone in the, be careful. Don't go. Now I know it's time for cookouts. Be careful. Don't get excited, start dancing around, open up a drink, go to the bathroom, come back and pick the drink. You're going to be poisoned.
So
I know this is there's this boy, I know this, I saw the parents trying to mobilize money. I saw the story of the mom, but there's a Ugandan from Kenya, but he studied from Uganda, lived in Uganda, who was here, who was poisoned. I saw on a video going around on social media where they were mobilizing money to take him back home, but he was poisoned. So people have to be careful. People have to be careful. Museveni is not going to go away lightly.
But the government dismisses allegations that they were involved in this.
No, but if people in government themselves have been poisoned, so who are you? You know, it is very, because, okay, Bashir had two issues. He's fighting some rich man who is trying to displace people from Katanga. That's an issue as well. But if you've had people in government, the likes of Mayombo, the likes of Nyakairima being poisoned, no one is safe. You cannot be safe when you're opposing the sitting government. And I'm telling you, I always tell people, 2021, this is going to be the most expensive campaign, and this is going to be the most where people, if it means kwebereramo all the time, sleep with one eye open. People are going to be killed, people are going to go missing, because this is the time where the biggest majority of Ugandans, that is the young people, are against Museveni. Museveni before, if he used to be campaign reluctantly, or they used to have the old folks that used to vote, and these people were comfortable with Aka Start Weber court law and all that nonsense. You have right now 75%, and when you talk about 80, when I said 80% by 2021, so many people are going to enter the age bracket of voting. So many, the 75% we are talking about of the population are jobless. They've lost hope. But they are educated. They've gone to school, have degrees, have this and that. Some have even upgraded, went back from one degree to a master's degree. There are no jobs. You have to pay to get into any position. The situation is really bad. When you try to do business in Kampala, no business works because there are so many mafias who bring in goods without paying for any taxes for them, and they are underselling them. So when you pay all these taxes and you try to hike the prices, you're not going to do any business in Kampala. So everything is dead. You have to be, this is going to be the most expensive campaign. But anyone doing activism in Uganda, extremely be careful. You've had people who are being arrested or being kidnapped. Those cases are not going to stop. They're going to continue. So the issue of Bashir, it should be an eye-opener to the rest. Was Bashir not poisoned? No, he was poisoned. And should we say government is not part of this? For the cases we've had of individuals being poisoned by government, we cannot rule out. For us, our major suspect would be the government of Uganda, because first of all, Bashir is going to stand against Munyagwa in Kawempe. He's coming as people power. So why? And he has potential. He has potential. He's been doing good in his community. He's been helping the common man. So many cases. So every young person you want to get into politics, be careful. Don't get excited. Don't find people eating food and you just jump in. Don't drink anything you did not open. People are going to be poisoned.
All right, so Richard, I want to end with you over that topic, and then we finish up with Uganda Telecom saga. Right.
Okay, now there's this issue of Nabenda.
Right.
Yeah.
I was looking at the doctor. They were interviewing him in the Ugandan media about the saga. The doctor himself, Biaruhanga, said that this was an open case. She was totally poisoned by the government. I was looking at it on the media documentary. They were interviewing him, one of the most scary cases that he has met in Mulago. He says he has operated on 10,000 dead bodies in Mulago, and the Nabenda issue was an open case, government poisoning. The second thing I heard of Mbazile, because I was following them live, Mbazila said something that gave me energy to come here today. He said that abali ebweru babalumirirwa, because Ugandans have come to the point. If you saw, go and see the documentary and what was happening today in that area. The people are crying. People are determined to get rid of this man out of office. And we in the diaspora are just sleeping. He said, Abe Barinamwe. What are we doing? We're just on media looking at things that are happening in the country. We have to be mobilized to do something. That's what I learned today on that issue of this man. It's total government poisoning. However they did it, we have to be careful. Even me. Even you.
Yeah.
But where are we going to end? We have to mobilize ourselves into an action group that can defend our country in time of need. That's what we are going to do.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I mean, we have had several cases, people losing lives just out of that, and the government has always come up. We are making investigations. We are coming up with this. We have not seen any report yet. Maybe sometimes they're confidential. They have to keep them somewhere, but it's very important for everybody to be careful about your life. But that is it. Now, this has been another week of interesting stories in Uganda. Government says it lost control over Uganda Telecom, and Minister Anite, who is responsible for investments, comes out to say they don't get reports. Could this be just a trick of playing games like how the government has been doing it in the past?
No, but
or it's a new agenda that the government, all things concerned with the government are no more to the Ugandan people?
Before, if I don't know if you've been following the Uganda Telecom saga, Uganda Telecom was partially, some of the shares were sold to some South African company before. And that company in South Africa, I think, later pulled out because you cannot, I happen to have done some business with some of the people who used to run, the top manager used to run, Uganda Telecom. The biggest challenge Uganda Telecom was facing then, and I'm sure it's still facing now, Uganda Telecom supplies services to all government institutions, from State House, and that includes data and that includes internet. These institutions do not pay. Just like you see all the other people are crying, oh, we supplied food then, we supplied, these institutions do not pay. How much internet does the State House use? How much internet? All government institutions, every ministry is supplied from landline calls, they are all UTL, to internet. They are all supplied by Uganda Telecom. But these institutions, because you cannot run an institution where they keep giving and they are not receiving any money back. So all the government institutions that are being supplied by Uganda Telecom do not pay their bills on time. What Anita needs to do before she, because I saw the statement, I saw what she put up on Twitter that they want to revamp Uganda Telecom and every Ugandan it's going to be, or as a sign of patriotism, every Ugandan should have a telecom, a line. That is bullshit. Do not decide people, do not decide, just set it off or shut it down, just like you've done to the rest. Why didn't you do the same to Uganda, to the cotton, to the cotton marketing board, whatever it was? You would have said, you know what, we are going to revamp it and every Ugandan should wear something from made in Uganda. This is all bullshit, because where she needs to go back, where she needs to start from before she starts enforcing Ugandans to hold the Uganda Telecom line is she needs to investigate all the Uganda institutions that are using services from Uganda Telecom. Are they paying their bills? From State House to the bottom, every ministry of Uganda uses, from landlines, from data they're using. Because one of the things when I was interacting with someone who used to head UTL then, he said the biggest challenge they were having then was all the Ugandan institutions they're supplying, they do not pay. They do not pay.
Let's look at the biggest problem in this scandal. The company from Nigeria, which is called Tioreje, had to invest $70 million into this company. Now here's the problem. This company has never done any business elsewhere. But the minister then, in 2018, approved the contract. And it is said that up to today, they haven't invested any single cent into the company. Who is the problem then? The minister or the company? Richard.
You see, what's happening in Uganda is this. What you people don't know is they took over the country by themselves. They first came into the country and said, we are going to privatize everything. And they sold everything to themselves. And now what they did was to go and get out of the country, work with some people out of the country, register companies as if they are from another country, and then they come and bid them and take them for themselves. It's their owned. They are the one making money. They are the one making the profits, and they are the one making decisions. They are the one profiting. If you see, I'll always give an example, because I used to see these Uganda Post services in Uganda. They used to own all this, the post office and the telecommunication used to be together. Even in America, where you have total capitalism, at least capitalism, the postal service was left into the hands of the government so that everyone can access it cheaply. Even the social security system in America was left in the hands of the government. The certain things, like the Uganda telecommunication, we used to have a landline in every house when I was growing up at a very good price for everyone to afford. The only thing they used to do was to cut off the line every day so that you could call them and you give them money. That's how they used to get money from clock tower, because I've been old enough to see all these things. So there's some of the things that would have been left for the sake of the country. What people power has to do into the new government is this, some of these things 100% give them back to the country. The postal services, the mailing system, if you have to improve it, and the telecom system. At least if you were to call a 911, someone's at home, doesn't have a cell phone, someone just go and call a 911 for medical services, for fire services. At least this one will be left to the people of the country if we are to improve the country. But this one you see today, they own everything. If you trace back these companies, I've been following these companies myself. Every company that is just, look at Umeme. Who owns Umeme? Why would you sell a country, Uganda Electricity Board, why would you sell it to someone, an investor, when you found it running for so many years? Then now you have to negotiate because they own it. They are the one building the lines. As if we, to the point of not existing, to know anything that we can do in a country? Give me a break.
All right, so let me look into some of the things that have been happening over the same story. Now, Minister Anita wrote letters to different departments, inclusive of Treasury and the Finance Ministry. But the problem is, they always responded back to her that they don't have powers. Everything about Uganda Telecom is still in the courts system. Now, the question is the judicial system still working, or there are some loopholes within it that services cannot be delivered on time, and that is limiting now how Uganda Telecom is operating, because they cannot audit it and nothing can be done with it. And people are asking where the money goes. 70 million they were supposed to invest in 3 months, nothing has done, has happened yet. Now it's a year, nothing has happened. So they're coming up with these stories. Who is to blame? Again, the government, the people, or the judicial system over this same scheme?
Can I answer it quickly? Okay, I want to ask you, why do you think you have Otafiri as the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs? Because that's the way they grab the power. I want to give you people who have been following a very controversial judge in Uganda, one of the High Court judges, Biabashaiz. I used to know Andrew Biabashaiz when he was a traffic judge, a traffic magistrate in CPS, behind CPS. Look at all the cases that he's handling. In everything that they have a hand in, grabbing land, such issues, the file is direct to his office. Direct to his office. What do you think you are going to get out of the judgment that the Abashaiza is going to be? Because such a case, if you follow it very well, it's going to be assigned, because they are the same people making money and they're the beneficiary of these things, or the corruption system. You are going to say that Andrew Biabashaiza gave a judgment of such a, because they weren't benefiting. So until we get these people out of power, we shall never have a good country. Everyone that has been involved including these people in the judicial system, out of power and out of their office. Then we build a new country for the people, by the people.
All right.
And there's
Sorry,
power.
Your final take on the UTL.
You know, UTL needs to be so many, you know, they've done a number of things to revamp UTL. There's a time when government put back in money. But just like I told you earlier, all government institutions are using services from UTL of which they're not paying for. Because if you're going to use data, the data doesn't come from the blue. If you're going to use, they have landlines, they have, you saw UTL also had one time the scratch cards and all that. And again, UTL themselves, UTL first of all, people before, because that was, I think, one of the first, from MTN, that was one of the first companies. I remember one time I had a UTL line, but the services of UTL are so poor. Even to the common, even Ugandans, why are the other companies, why are companies managed, why are companies, new companies are managed to come up and being able to thrive in Uganda, getting new customers, joining them all the time. UTL itself, because, you know, everything, I don't know what happens with everything government owned. There's a lot of incompetence in, because these private companies, ask yourself, why has MTN been able to stand the test of time? It's a profit-oriented company. So they're in Kampala, they're in Uganda to make money, so they're going to maximize all the different avenues to be able to make money. Government-owned institutions, look at any of them. Most of them, because people do not care, because first of all, they get a salary whether they work or not, because they are government employees. Do you know that? So if you work with UTL, you are a government employee. Whether you bring in sales or not, you will still be paid. So people are reluctant. Just like any government institution where you see people are lazy in the morning, just go to internal affairs, you know, unless you have Chinto Chidogo to pay someone, that's when your file will start moving. People do not care because they are government paid. So UTL, I think what they can do to UTL, just like they've sold everything, you know, you cannot say, oh, we do not have, you do not have a government-owned telecom company. They can do just like they've done with all the rest of the stuff. They've sold off everything. Let them sell off Uganda Telecom to someone. Because it has very good masks. It's one of, because some of these other telecom companies are boosted by the UTL masks all over the country. They have a very good setup, but what they failed is the management. So what the government should do is, if it is so, because sometimes they may want to sell off, but it's so insolvent that you can't even sell it because it's not going to make, you cannot buy something that is not going to make you profit in the first 10 years because it's so down, or it can't make you money. So what they can do is they can find a private investor, just like they found one, they gave money to build a hospital in Lubuurwa. You know, this, I'm just, you know, we're throwing there out ideas. They can find one, give him money, and then let the private investor, knowing that revamp the company, revamp Uganda Telecom, put in money from the government, and maybe collect his money after 10 years and then hand it over to the government. Because otherwise they should shut it down. Because one, whatever they're suggesting of every Ugandan having a telecom line, having a line from Uganda Telecom, it is not going to work. I don't even know why she suggested that. It's not going to work. Because they have one of the most terrible networks. People get landlines, people buy lines or telecom lines depending on are they reliable? If I'm in the village, am I able to get access to internet? Am I able to get access to, you know? People buy depending on so many things. And are they affordable? Do they give different packages here and there? That's why people buy lines. I do not want to be in the village and then I can not communicate to people in Kampala because there is a poor network. So I think that of wanting every Ugandan to have a telecom line, it's not going to work. It will be an epic fail. You're not going to force people. And the patriotism in Uganda, if you fail even to curb things like Ugandans, however much they love their country, but you cannot at this time start telling them, oh, they have to be patriotic. When you, the people in government, you don't love your country. There's corruption every day. You steal on a daily basis. People are bettering themselves as individuals. People are building houses. People are spending time abroad. Anita herself was here in Boston studying. Wasted money. I don't know what happened, but I saw there are people who put up, people who are really on her case. They went up to her university and put up a petition that she shouldn't be here. She's involved in scandals back home. I don't know if the university released her, if they listened to that petition. Anita was studying on taxpayers' money here. So they've wasted a lot of people, taxpayers' money for you to start telling Ugandans to be patriotic. Ugandans, really, they love their country, but they've lost hope, so they cannot do that for you.
All right, so we cannot go far from that. We want to thank you so much for always being part of Uganda Crossroads. All the information that you come here and share, you mean a lot by being part of it. And we always ask this question: what do you think about what's going on in Uganda? Tell us what you think. Send your comments. We always follow up on them, and we always try to post during the week all the things that happen that make major stories in Uganda, be it good or bad. And you can always follow us on YouTube. Very soon we are opening up the Twitter account and all other medias so that we can always be sharing information not only on LifeM TV Live, but also and also not only on Campfire TV USA, but all other social media platforms. We want to be there to put the information out there. But let me leave you with this quote: Uganda can only develop if you stand with one another and change the direction in which it's going. If you don't act, it will never act. Thank you. Have a great week. See you next week. My name again, David Lubuurwa. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me again. See you again. Have a good time.